In the mid and late 2000s, we were obsessed. I personally, I'll speak for myself, I was obsessed with those VH1 celeb reality dating shows, or just like the competition shows. Really, I just wanted them to be in competition, truthfully, but a lot of them were dating shows, such as Flavor of Love, Rock of Love. Was such a very strange title. They were trying so hard to remind everyone of the hit Flavor of Love, and I didn't even know who Flavor, that was a great advertisement for him, because I'd never heard of that man in my life. But whenever he was on VH1 trying to find the love of his life, I remember my mom being like, oh yeah, that's Flavor Flav from whatever, and he would wear the clock and all of that. So then you had Rock of Love, I Love New York, which I think is probably the best of the whole thing. And they all followed this sort of same chaotic formula of celebrities choosing love from a pool of eccentric contestants. And then some of those contestants would go off and have their own reality dating show or whatever. So in 2009, VH1 launched a new show that had a slightly different tone than the previous ones that I just mentioned. This one's called Megan Wants a Millionaire, starring at that point veteran reality star Megan Hauserman. Now, it was meant to supposedly elevate the genre, focusing not on rockers and rappers, but on wealthy, eligible bachelors competing for Megan's heart. Instead of doing that, the show became the epicenter of one of reality TV's darkest scandals and, dare I say, tragedies. Immediately, when the show comes out, it was trashed on the sites of the day, such as Lipstick Alley, and probably Reddit, and probably whatever else there was. Scarlett O'Hara, girl, she said on July 5th, 2009, Viacom strikes again. Dumb shows with no concept. No concept? I mean, there's a loose concept. You're competing based on the rules of the show, whatever those are, vague as they are. Those board meetings have to be the dumbest brainstorming sessions. Can you please do better, VH1? Wow, Scarlett was ahead of her time. I mean, I do find this to be particularly interesting because it's saying like generally there was a lot of criticism even back then, because when I check my memory banks, I was loving these shows. I wasn't trying to maybe necessarily like do what they were doing on the shows, but I found it to be extremely entertaining. Yeah. I loved it. I was waiting for the next one to come on. When they were over, I was upset. I would be so happy when a new one would premiere. I wasn't really feeling like this was so bad, but I was young, I guess, a teenager at the time. So who is this Megan? Who is she? Why does she get to have a millionaire or whatever? Now you will see, spoiler alert, I'm not so sure about this millionaire. I think they might have been applying that title loosely, but we'll get to that. So she began her TV career modestly as a model on holiday specials for the Jerry Springer Show. Jerry. That was in the early 2000s. So by 2006, she was featured in, of course, Playboy's Cyber Girl of the Week. She later would pose fully unclothed for that website. Then her real rise to public consciousness came in 2008, the year of our Lord that I graduated from high school. Shout out to me for that. So that year, 2008, she appeared on a show called Beauty and the Geek. This is also a reality TV competition pairing conventionally attractive women with highly intelligent but socially awkward men. And Megan, she won. She won the show.
I think we threw a bunch of money at him and were very mean to him and told him he would never have sex with hot girls ever.
So that kind of launched her into reality show stardom or whatever at that point. She also won money. She got $125,000 from the show. I don't know if did they have to share it after taxes? Who knows, girl? I don't know. Probably was definitely able to get a new Honda Accord or something.
I couldn't even believe it.
We caught up with them to talk to them about life after the show and what they're doing with their prize money.
I'm not working and I got a puppy, Lily.
So following that success, right on the heels of that big success, she transitioned very smoothly into the VH1 ecosystem, appearing on Rock of Love 2, which you might recognize her from scenes such as the following.
And it was absolutely freezing. The conditions were torturous.
So I'm hoping to wash Catherine's wig right off her head. I'm having so much fun.
I just want that bitch to go home.
Also, she was on a show called I Love Money, and also on this Charm School. Those were among my favorites. Ricky Lake, they had hosting them. Monique, I think they had hosting.
You had to come as the whore of Charm School.
I do not think that you should call me a whore. That is where I draw the line.
The behavior that you exhibited was like the whore jumped out, and then it jumped back in.
It was like teaching kind of like a little bit etiquette, how to act lessons to some of these ladies who had made a complete fool of themselves, airing out all the hometown antics on Rock of Love or whatever. So she was on that show too. She was eliminated after kicking a fellow contestant in the downstairs region, and then she later stirred chaos at the reunion by mocking Ozzy Osbourne's addiction, which is not cool. This also led to host Sharon Osbourne, about to jog your nostalgia memory banks right here. Remember whenever Sharon Osbourne threw a drink on Megan's face, on somebody's face? It was her, Megan. All right.
Practice this.
And she violently pulled her hair. I mean, it was a brawl. We'll have to censor most of it out, but you'll remember.
Obviously, you're making a TV show for entertainment, so you can't sit around and just be your boring self.
So despite all these controversies, whether pre-planned and planted or not, Megan was offered her own dating show called Megan Wants a Millionaire. This was in 2009. The show promised to pair Megan with 17, pair means two. I like pair. Pair her, because it's like her, and then she has these little tentacles, 17 of them, and it's just like she's got all these pairs. It's like more confusing than a Diddy Rico trial. But anyway, she's with 17 affluent bachelors. And again, they're using, I think, some of these words liberally when they describe in these bachelors. Because, girl, one of them, we're about to get into this in a minute, but one of them, I got to give y'all a spoiler alert. He's a kind of like a trust fund baby, but he hasn't gotten the inheritance yet. It's like, I'm going to get it.
I have an inheritance from my grandfather, so hopefully I will be taking that money and making it.
Hopefully? What do you mean?
No, I will be taking that.
It could go either way?
No, it's going to go up. My grandfather is going to give me and my sister an inheritance.
Sounds as if James had better hope his grandfather's health is in a frail state.
Well, I mean, it'll be good when it comes. You know what I mean?
And then Megan's friends come over, Cecilia and Brandy C. Also from Rock of Love, Brandy C. And they're like, so when are you going to get the money? And he's like within the year. Like, definitely. And then the edit has this like, no, you're not.
I want to talk because I'm a little concerned about the fact that you work as a waiter and you don't have any money.
Listen, I have money. I'm going to get it within the year, probably. I'm going to be getting this money, but I don't need the money right now.
Do you live at home then?
Not, well, yeah, right now.
So do you get an allowance every month?
I don't get, yo, you guys are making me sound like I'm like 12. I do not get an allowance. I do get, well, I guess I get like a monthly allowance.
And then someone was like, yeah, he's going to even have to ask. Like, I asked, Cecile was like, I asked. He's going to have to ask his parents if he wants to get something for Megan. So I think he should go home tonight.
So he hasn't gotten the money yet.
He's even dared to say that he would have to be like, Mom and Dad, I need extra money to support Megan.
What?
Yeah.
I was loving this show. It was funny to me because it was like the fools that were on here was like, what are you even doing on here, Donald, or whatever?
By the way, Meg, I have a hobby. I am psychic. I'm going to have to like mesmerize you into falling in love with me.
My name's Joe Pascola. I'm more or less a trust fund baby, so I just kind of sit pretty and watch my bank grow. I'm Joe. Nice to meet you. You're beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, it was nice to meet you.
Megan soon realized that with more money comes more...
I have to go to the bathroom.
personality.
But I think that these shows did kind of pave the way for people to actually start acting like this. It kind of like gave people an archetype that didn't exist before. And then they did start acting like this. So if you go to like Beverly Hills or even just somewhere in like LA, like West Hollywood or something, like people are now acting like this for real. It's real. Anyway, so her show, it's 17 bachelors. They're supposed to be millionaires. I mean, I think that's the prereq. And they're each kind of competing. They're vying for her love, not with just their charm. No. Another kind of like prerequisite, as I mentioned, is their net worth. They have to be millionaire. So it aired only 3 episodes before it was abruptly pulled forever, never to be seen again. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube in clips, but what had happened was one of the contestants on Megan Wants a Millionaire, this guy right here, Ryan Jenkins.
What do you think about Ryan? You don't like Ryan?
I think he's cute, he's fine. I feel like he's a player.
He was a Canadian real estate developer, and you might remember him from the scene where Megan was like, why do you live in Canada? Like, why don't you move here?
So you think that you could leave Canada?
Well, I can do my job anywhere. In fact...
So why do you live there?
And he's like, oh, well, I can work anywhere. With the business I'm in, I can work anywhere. But I can't do business here and I can't live here unless I'm American citizen, so I would have to be married.
Well, I can't legally work here unless I'm married.
Oh.
So...
And she's like, oh, are you just trying to use me for a green card?
So you're using me for a green card.
I tell you this.
And he's like, Megan, how about this? We won't sign a prenup.
I tell you this. If we get married, I won't get you to sign a prenup.
And she's like, oh, that sounds good to me. And then this like narrator's like, yes, just what she wanted to hear. No prenup. The word every woman wants to. It was just like, what are they talking about?
Ah, the two most romantic words in the English language. No prenup. Bravo, Ryan. Well done.
This show, and then, okay, so this guy, Ryan. So on the show, he was portrayed as a confident, competitive, and eager to win Megan's heart. Remember that no prenup moment we shared a moment ago. He was eliminated very close to the end, 3rd place, but he made a significant impression on both the cast and the audience. So just days after the show stopped filming, and again, it hadn't premiered yet. They just wrapped filming. Just days after the show wrapped. In March 2009, this guy Ryan met and impulsively married a woman named Jasmine Fiore. This was a swimsuit model and aspiring actress. So a few months later, August 15th, 2009, her in not a very great shape remaining body was found in a suitcase, which would have been difficult to get her into, in a trash bin in California, Buena Park. Her teeth and fingers had been, they were missing. And what authorities believed was an effort to hinder or stop the police from being able to identify who she was. However, she was able to be identified, thankfully, by the serial number in the breast augmentation implants that she had. They were able to match them up, and it was her. So this guy, Ryan, from the show, No Prenup, he immediately became a primary suspect, and like the primary suspect. A warrant was pretty much immediately issued for his arrest, but he fled across the border to Canada, where he is from, and he checked into a secluded middle of nowhere motel, girl. He was in a motel in British Columbia. This is a part of Canada. Shout out to the Canada cousins in the chat. So on August 23rd, so remember August 15th is whenever they unfortunately found Julia Fiore's body in the suitcase in the trash can. A few days after that, August 23rd, this guy was also found no longer amongst the living. He had been unalived by his own design, his own self.
Ryan Jenkins' body was discovered just before noon today in this hotel room at the Thunderbird Motel in Hope, British Columbia. Motel manager Kevin Walker found the 32-year-old hanging from a coat rack.
I opened up the door, just opened it up slightly in case I was interrupting somebody. And the computer was sitting on the bed. There was a few other things on the bed, and I was asking hello. Then I slid the door open further, and he was.
And we try to say, well, we're trying to get away with the rules. I like to follow the rules, okay? So anyway, he had fashioned a belt around his neck, and you can figure out the rest. So that's really tragic and unfortunate, but just to give some relief there and to loop it back into the web, there was another contestant on this show. This one you might be a little more familiar with. This man right here by the name of Shereé the Punisher Hayes. Yes, him. Now, he recently testified in the Diddy criminal case for having relations with Cassie, during a freakoff. And not only that, right around the exact same time that he testified, like the next day, this book called Something About Freezer Meat he wrote comes out. And he goes on the PR circuit. He's like, whenever he's in Nancy Grace and he's on this and that, and I don't know, we'll put some clips in, or some overlay or whatever, but he's clearly like no stranger to, seeking the spotlight. He's on this Megan Wants a Millionaire show. And I think 2 days ago or yesterday, a new Shereé the Punisher Hayes video came out. He's just making the rounds. And Anyway, so in the Diddy trial, he is portrayed as an escort, but I don't think he actually calls himself that. He calls himself an exotic dancer. And he says he was hired to do a bachelorette party dance. And he got there, but it was only Cassie. And then she was like, it's me and my husband, but he ain't gonna touch you. And she's wearing a wig and an outfit. And he's like, all right. So then he starts doing his bachelorette party dance. And then they ask him, I guess one thing leads to the next, and then they go further, and then that happens on occasion again. Well, this guy's whole entire book is about how he's suffering and struggling with a dysfunction in the, ability to have these types of relations, and he blames this dysfunction on anxiety and it, like, kind of being all in his head and stuff like that. And he's like, it kind of all started and was contributed to by Diddy and Cassie making me do that stuff in those dark hotel rooms, and I would have to take all these substances and stuff, and now is don't work, and he's writing books about it, and he's doing interviews about it, and he's promoting these surgeries. It just seems like it's just extreme. Okay, but imagine my surprise when I find out that this guy is on Megan Wants a Millionaire saying he's a millionaire in 2009.
I've just never met a millionaire stripper before.
Now, today he's a 51-year-old New York native and a male exotic dancer. Along with being on Megan Wants a Millionaire, he was on some other shows. He auditioned, at least, for I Love New York 2, and he got cast on I Love Money 4. My God, how many seasons of I Love Money? I gotta go watch those back or something.
So, what do you have going on these days?
We just finished our season of I Love Money 4. So this is kind of the downtown between filming and stuff like that. So right now I'm a New York native. I'm just here in the city trying to make things happen. I got a monthly event for the ladies starting in February at a nightclub. You can check it on getpunished.com.
So the Punisher claims he got his nickname from playing basketball.
So, okay, how did you come about having the name Punisher?
Honestly, I wish I had like some fancy story for you, but I played basketball. Okay. So it was actually a name from playing basketball. That when a guy who started me out was somebody I played basketball with. Mm-hmm. So it's funny because when he first took me to the shows, he said, "What you want your name to be?" And I was like, Caramel Mandingo. I said some silly shit.
Is it some truth to that?
No,
Caramel
this is really
Mandingo?
the story. Yeah, I said Caramel Mandingo. So we go into the parties and he's introducing me, and girls is like, "Caramel coming over here," and I'm completely ignoring them. So he was like, "Look, man, until you figure out what your name's gonna be, I'm just gonna call you Punisher, like when we play basketball." And I just kept it.
It just stuck. Well,
That's
a good name to have.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out.
Is that name trademark?
I don't believe it, but that's fine. And it does appear that this is right around the same time, like within a few years at least, of when he would have been doing these freakoffs. Okay, so it begs the question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first? Him on VH1 making his round through the VH1 circuit, and then he got casted as a dancer, and then he got casted as a freak-off slave. He didn't describe himself as that. He says everything always felt consensual to him and things like that. But did the freak-offs come first? And then maybe he got his lucky break on a VH1 show. Somebody maybe can look into that timeline and let me know. Now, the Punisher's credibility, in my opinion, it's scrutable. And other people have agreed. He's come under scrutiny. Alongside going on all these media appearances, he's been promoting a self-published book called In Search of Freezer Meat. And I'll let him explain if the editing department can stomach putting in why he called it that. But I don't even know what we can even put on here, y'all. I'm trying to follow the rules, and this man is deranged.
Reservoirs. Somehow we got spaced by our bladder that they can put a little reservoir and they put solution in it.
Okay.
And when it's time for just grab my testicles, give it a couple of Reebok pumps, you know what I'm saying? And my man, I got freezer meat, right? It's the hardest thing.
So critics of Shereé Hayes argue that the book and his resurfacing allegations appear calculated to generate buzz. And I'm the critic. Surprise alert. Casting him. He's, in my opinion, this man's a grifter. You know how the lawyers like Agnifilo and them are always like trying to imply everybody's a money grabbing grifter. And I'm like, no, they're not. Like they just say that about everybody. It's not even true. It's like, you know what? There's got to be somebody that is. Since they say it so much, it's like, somebody must be. And I think it might be this guy, a money grabber. I'm not saying he lied. He could be telling the truth. Anyway, so the unalive, lady in the suitcase aspect of the case really forced reality TV to reevaluate how they were vetting these contestants, implementing background checks and psychological screenings and criminal histories. And in the aftermath, VH1 not only canceled Megan Wants a Millionaire, it was not renewed for any more seasons, but pretty much all of those celeb reality shows were pulled eventually. They just stopped airing them, and the genre kind of died. And I can understand why why. I mean, it is kind of hard to find 18 new people that want to look like fools on TV for Megan, whoever, you know.
You were at the height of it all. You started on Flavor of Love. You got I Love New York. You got New York Goes to Hollywood. New York Goes to Work. Like, you were getting all of these spinoffs, and then all of a sudden, like, that kind of era just ended.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to New York? Where did she go?
The tragedy that transpired was totally out of my control.
Mm.
And I don't want to brush on it too much because people lost their lives, and I don't want to seem by no ways that I'm saying my career is bigger than that. But I ain't gonna lie to you, I had 2 shows in the green, meaning literally I was about to shoot I Love New York 3, and I was about to shoot New York Goes to Work Part 2, but they had went overseas to another country to shoot, I believe it was I Love Money Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then before that show wrapped, one of the contestants went back to himself and killed one of his girlfriends or ex-girlfriend. And because of that, you know, we had to stop doing the shows that we had planned, and all that stuff kind of went into hiatus. But by no means did I ever lose my popularity.
Yeah.
I just got spent up into something that you want to just wrap up in a bow and call it charge it to the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just had to, you know, I took that L, well, a couple of L's, because I finally had them at the dollar amount that I wanted. It was a tragedy, but...
I don't know. I need to go back and watch these ones. Maybe they were just as deranged, but the ones that they got on TV today is really... on YouTube today is really deranged. It's like I can't even show it on my channel, girl. So that's sad because I did like those shows, but it's probably okay because I think it was probably doing some severe psychological damage to everyone involved, including liver damage, because they never stopped drinking. And I want to do another episode in this, like along this sort of vein about the Rock of Love show, because I think we need to critically reevaluate the show. I think it was traumatic even for Brett freaking Michaels. At the time, I think he was a grandpa. He had diabetes. They had the man up all night having relations with any and every kind of woman. He was drinking for 3 straight days. I mean, I think on one episode he went to the hospital and the challenge was revolved around him, but who could blame him? The man was sick. He was old. He was wearing wigs. He looked good. They did his makeup good and stuff, and they had all his young girls kissing him. And I mean, look, listen, they were showing him everything but a good time. He was passing out. He was like, I can't speak. I don't know. We got to find a compilation of all of the injuries they sustained to him. But I wanted to do an episode on Rock of Love because I recently came across a clip of Bret Michaels talking to Steve-O the Failed Clown about how that show really was like actually kind of like very difficult on him. Anyway, we'll get there. And in the meantime, this isn't the last celebrity unaliving you're going to hear about from me. Stay tuned for the next one. In the meantime, that's all I really have for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Staying straight. This is good. Getting hurt right here. Okay. Straight my nose. Oh my God! Stop! Stop talking about it. Take it back to the hometown. 225. Don't make it like this no more. Take it to the dance floor. I never heard it like this before. My DJ and your DJ, they sat down on a bio. My DJ don't play no game. He throw that fire. He throw that. No, thank you.